From this to these, lots of fun. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, February the 26th, 2024, and it is vlog number 351. And it's going to be one of those kind of days. It's a busy, busy day, but it's a busy, busy day by my own making. And have you ever done that? Have you ever planned to get too many things done in one day and you feel overwhelmed? Well, from the moment I got up this morning, that's what I've been doing. I have cleaned my kitchen, and then leaving the kitchen, I had to dust my hallways, and then I thought I should do the floors in the hallway, and then I should water my plants, and then I should clean the sinks, and one thing led to another before I even got to doing what I need to do today, and that's make this video. Meanwhile, my 3D printers over here are running right along, the 4 of them. It's like a manufacturing site right now, and I'm going to talk more about the new thing that I bought to upgrade one of my older printers with and what my success rate has been with that as well. Then behind me I've got the quilt that I'm designing, and I've decided that I have to pull some of the blocks out because I'm not very happy with the way I pieced them. I cut off some points, and I'll be honest, I'm getting tired of this quilt, but I'll talk more about that tomorrow. So I want to get to that today as well. You know, there's a lot going on, and I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person that makes lists and marks off the things when I get them done. It keeps me going. But anyways, yeah, I'm feeling just a little and I don't know if that's energy or like, I don't know what it is. Anyways, enough about that. Let's jump into this quilt that I am designing. Here it is. A working name for it right now is Windmills and Stars. I started putting the rows together. The second and the third, well, the second row's together, the first row's together, the third row is still in pieces. The top row I'm not happy with. I made a mistake. I trimmed too closely to when I trimmed the block up, and I'm cutting off my points. So I can't let it stay like that. It's not the fault of the pattern. I double checked that, triple checked that. The fault is with me, the creator of this. So that's a project for today. I'm going to have to do some ripping out and making it look just a little bit more professional than as if I just started quilting yesterday. But it's coming along, as you can see. Okay, so that takes me to the YouTube channel of the week. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about charities and, you know, is your money really going where they say it's going, or is it a lot of it going into administration costs and things like that? And one of the places we talked about is a place very near to where I live called Value Village. And we have donated things. When I cleaned out my kitchen cabinets, for example, all that stuff I got rid of, I donated to Value Village. And in my mind, I was doing a good thing. Several good things. One, none of that was going to landfill. Two, it was decent stuff. I was just done with it. It's time for somebody else to enjoy it. And three, I'm supporting a local charity. Well, I found out something about Value Village on a program called Marketplace, which is a economic consumer kind of affairs show that is produced by the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and they do have it on YouTube. And they had very recently a whole production about Value Village markups. So if you think you're getting a bargain, not necessarily. So here's my review of that YouTube clip. Last week I talked about on Stephen and Walter Live Value Village and how they do markups and how it's not really the best deal when you're going to a charity shop, supposed charity shop like that. And I referenced a video I saw on YouTube, which comes from a CBC television show called Marketplace. Marketplace is basically a television show that looks at things that have to do with consumer interest. Well, they did a whole thing on Value Village markups, testing if you're getting a deal. And this is really worth watching. And although it pertains to one particular charity outlet, I think much of what they're saying might be applicable to some other charity outlets as well. So it's just basically showing us that as consumers, we need to know the price of things and be able to figure out whether or not we're getting the best deal possible. Also, it lets you know that maybe some places where you're donating your used goods, thinking you're doing some good for other people, may not be the case at all. So I found this very enlightening. It didn't tell me anything I didn't already kind of suspect, but it just confirmed my suspicions. So this is worth taking a look at. It's Value Village Markups, and there's a link for it in the show notes. So if you think you're doing a good thing by donating your used goods to places like Value Village or Goodwill or that kind of thing, you might want to do some investigation just to see what in reality is really happening. Okay, so you'll find a link for that YouTube clip in the show notes below. You'll also find a link for Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. Again, always on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. There is a link for Men's Sew Day. I always have a Men's Sew Day on the first Sunday of every month. And so the first Sunday of March, yes, March, is coming up this coming Sunday. So I believe that is March the 3rd. And it will start at 8 a.m. and run until about 3 p.m. It's open to all gentlemen who wish to socialize, have some fun, do some sewing, shoot the crap, that kind of thing. There's not a lot of us. Later, after I'm finished doing this today, I will be sending out the link to those of you on my mailing list that are men. If you're not on my mailing list, if you want to be on my mailing list, and this goes for everybody, if you want to be on my mailing list, just send me an email. My email link is in the show notes as well, and I'll be happy to add you to my mailing list. Also, but for the men, the link as well as in that email. If you're not already on the mailing list, you can get it from the show notes from today's show and from any of the productions I put up this week. So hope to see a few more gentlemen there. We have a good time. Don't be shy. There's been some of you that told me when I first suggested this idea, oh yeah, you're really interested, never saw you again, never came. You know, your prerogative, I guess. So yeah, we're a small group, but we're a happy group. Okay, and two special events coming up this week, and I'll talk a little bit more about those. There's a link for one of them in the show notes below as well. So there's also links to all my past week's videos too, in case you didn't see them and you want to catch up. Especially So Chatty, because Walter and I, as you know, those of you that are following it, we've been doing a whole series on machine embroidery. Last week we did hooping, and we're getting a lot of very nice comments about our series. That makes us very happy. And yep, the series isn't over yet. We have more to come, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's take a look at what the weather's all about here in Southern Ontario. We are at the end of February, so we do expect at that time of the year things should be warming up, but this has been a really weird winter, as everybody across North America and possibly Europe too have been saying. It's been really warm, unseasonably warm in some parts and unseasonably cold in other parts, and things have been upside down. Don't know. Is this climate change? When I think about it, it really makes me worried. Especially, have you noticed there's been a lot of movies out there about things like climatic climate climate change and the apocalypse like kind of thing. We all freeze to death or cook to death. You know, it's scary. And then you start to watch those, and those movies are fiction, but every fiction it has a little element of truth it's based on. And then you start seeing weather reports and living through this stuff, and you're beginning to think, if anybody thought that climate change is not a thing, I don't know. I think it might be a thing. But anyways, right now, currently, it's 0 degrees. It's right on the freezing point. This is in Celsius, of course, here in my area outside of Toronto. And yeah, the forecast for the week, though, looks good. I mean, today the high is supposed to be 8. but tomorrow 11, then 13 on Wednesday. But then suddenly, and this is the weird thing about these changes, we're plummeting to -3 as the high. But then we go right back up to 7, 10, 13, 15 next Monday. Well, my God, get out my shorts and sandals. And then Tuesday 13, and then but next a week from this Wednesday coming, it's going to be really windy, and it's only going to be a high of 5. Up and down, up and down. Yeah, okay. Is this unusual? I don't think it's that unusual. We have winters like that. We've had them in the past. So who's to say? Well, if we depend upon the weather people who are supposed to be experts, we know how accurate they are. I mean, are they? I don't know. They go to school, go to courses and things to learn how to do this, but it just goes to show you man and womankind are not smarter than Mother Nature. Okay, she does her thing. It's her prerogative. Well, Mother Nature is a woman for a reason. Okay, all right, I'm going to get comments about that, aren't I? However, I'm looking over on the side panel. I'm looking at Brisbane because I've been following their weather, and it's night there right now. But look, it's 25 degrees C. But they're going to have a high of 32 Celsius. That's hot. And I welcome that when we're there. All right. It's nice to bask in the heat. I know possibly the natives there are not enjoying those kind of temperatures. But for those of us that come from the frozen parts of the world, yeah, that sounds really nice. So, anyways, that's the weather right now. And just let me get things straightened up off my screen here. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is, of course, what's pissing me off this week. Okay, it's going to be simple. We talked about stupid people, stupid things people do. Okay? And I'm sorry if some people get offended by that. Actually, the only people that should get offended by yesterday's conversation about stupid people are stupid people, if they don't consider themselves stupid. And I know some people hate this word, stupid. Stupid is as stupid does. Like really, there's no other word for it. But one of the things that really, it's not so much I'm pissed off with it, it's annoying. We have this technology today. Now, you can say what you will about technology. I know there's a few people I know who refuse to buy a smartphone. Should I say stupid? No, they don't get into the technology, and they're purists, and it's the old-fashioned ways, the simple ways are the best ways for them. Well, bully for them. I don't have anything against anybody that doesn't want to get involved in the technological world. All I say is, how can you not? Everything in our life is geared on computer technology. Everything, your appliances, if you've bought a new appliance in the last 20 or 30 years even, there's computer components in that. Everything is there. Watching TV, watching YouTube, everything is technology. So to say that you're not going to use technology is to put your head in the hole and die. Yeah. But here is something that no matter what your feelings are about technology and AI and how it's going to take over the world and we're all going to become like the movie Terminator, okay? The fact is, we all have in our homes a computer. We all have a connection to the internet, and we have Google. And Google is absolutely marvelous. If there's something you want to find out about, Google it. Google it. Googling has become a verb in our language. It's in the dictionary now. Okay? 30 years ago, it probably wasn't there, didn't exist, but now it does. And it behooves us not to take advantage of it. It is a useful piece of technology. Yes, there are tricks to using it. Yes, there are drawbacks to using it as well. But let's think back. If you're in my age bracket, you remember when you had to write papers in high school, do projects in school. Where did you go to get your information? The school library, and then usually the public library. And that was a trip. You had to go and you had to physically walk into a building and you had to go to something called a card catalog. Yes, I know you millenniums and other ones out there, but you don't watch me anyways, the millenniums. You don't know what a card catalog is. You probably have never even entered, sadly, the doors of a library. Okay? You probably don't know what a book is. Well, that might be a little far-fetched, but it's coming, isn't it? However, I digress. You went to the library, you went to the card catalog, you looked up the stuff you needed, and you pulled out these books, sat at a table, leafed through them, looked in the index, looked in the table of contents. We actually had librarians in high school. I remember we would go down during a English class or something, and the librarian would show us how to use the encyclopedias and the card catalog and how books can help you find information, with the index and the table of contents and how all that worked. Well, that is a dying art. In fact, I think it's probably dead. I dare say that if I handed a book to a kid today, to someone's high school level, and said, "Here, find me in this book what you can about aardvarks," probably wouldn't have a clue. They'd probably look at it and go, "I don't know. Where's the button?" Okay. But, you know, now we don't need to leave our home to find out about anything anywhere in the world. We go to our computer, we open up Google, we type in aardvark. Wow, pages and pages of stuff about aardvark. Everything you ever want to know about an aardvark but was afraid to ask, right? But it's so easy to look things up. Do you remember your parents or your teachers in school saying to you, again, if you're in my age bracket, "Miss, ma'am, sir, how do you spell aardvark?" And they go, "Look it up." And of course, you know what our smart answer was when we got to that certain age of giving smart answers was, "How can I look it up if I don't know how to spell it in a dictionary?" Yeah, well, there is a point to that too. However, you don't need to know. You put in aardvark, you spell it the best way you can, and Google will probably find it, and you can learn how to spell it from there. I'll let you in on a secret. I was an English teacher. I was the head of my department for many, many years, the whole bit. I can't spell. No, I can't. It's a dirty little secret I have. In fact, I can give you reasons why I can't spell, but that's a whole different video. But I have Google. So if I don't know how to spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, I just type in supercala something or overdo, and I get it. It figures it out. That's AI. Okay? That's a good thing. But you know, people though write comments or ask me questions like, "Okay, if it's 8 o'clock in your time zone, what time is it for me? I'm in California." Okay, first of all, some people don't understand time zones. I get that. Well, you know what kind of people those are. But California to where I live, I'm in the Eastern time zone. They're in Pacific. We're 3 hours different, meaning they are 3 hours behind me. If it's 8 o'clock here, do the math. It's 5 o'clock there. Okay. But I don't even have to know that. I'm not really sure what time zone Outer Mongolia is in. Okay. But what I can do is I can go to Google and just simply ask that question. I don't need any special parameters. When search engines first came online back in the 90s and that, there was a certain way you had to put things in to find an answer, and it was cumbersome. But today, with AI, it's easy. You just ask a question like you're with somebody else in the room that has the knowledge, and you just type it into Google, "What time zone is Outer Mongolia in?" And Google will come back with the answer. Even better, since Zoom and things like that, and there's live events happening and, so-alongs and things like that, and people are in different time zones, I often get asked the question, "Well, what time, if you're starting at 8, what time is it for me?" And I say, "Google it." But I don't know how. Yes, you do. Google knows where you're at. Okay, I just ended a sentence with a preposition, but you know what I mean. All you have to do, because Google has it like a GPS in it. Yes, it does. Location services are usually turned on your computer. You might want to look into that in case, you don't want people to know where you are. All right. But anyways, if that kind of comes on automatically, all you need to do is put in the question. Google, if it's 8 o'clock here, what time is it in California? Google comes up with it. Not only does Google come up with it, but it'll also have a reference to a multiple number of devices or sites that you can put the time in you where you live or anywhere else in the world, and it'll tell you what the time is wherever you want to know where the time is. That's just a simple example of how to use Google. But if you want to know other things, anything, what's the price of rice in China? It will tell you. Uh, how much, if something is 12 euros, how much is that in Canadian or American dollars? And what I'm saying right now, the way I'm wording the question, is exactly what you can write in to Google. It couldn't be easier. Now, here's the hard part about Google. Is the information reliable? I know a lot of people will do Google searches for health problems. You've got to take those with a grain of salt. Google is not a doctor, although it may play one on the internet. Okay? It does not replace medical professions, but it can give you a ballpark kind of answer that will help you when you do call up your doctor or whatever to find out things. Google is infinite in the knowledge it has, and it's growing all the time, because what Google does, what the programming, the algorithms do and all that, is glean information on a second by second basis from across the internet, and the internet encompasses the world. So the next time you ask a stupid question, okay, like, oh, is it raining? Instead of getting up and looking out a window or phoning a friend, why not ask Google? It will give you the answer. Okay? All right. So stop annoying me with questions that you know you can find the answer for faster than I can give it to you. Bottom line. Okay? All right. Hope that made sense. Let's talk about new products. Well, I bought some new things to upgrade one of my 3D printers, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But before I do, let's talk about the grow lights. Okay, now you know that when we first got the grow lights, we were really excited. We started with one, ended up with like 3 different areas in the house with grow lights. Now we kind of got obsessed with it, but lately things have not been going very well. We've had this bug infestation, these little gnats, which Walter says came in when he brought in some of the things. We brought in some of the green peppers from outdoors and the onions and things like that, and they came in with them, and we have been fighting an endless battle getting rid of them. And you can see in this picture that little yellow butterfly thing, that's sticky. All those little black dots, those are gnats. Okay. We're starting to get them under control, but that's only because Walter has cleaned out some of the plants. But this is our latest crop of lettuce. And you know, lettuce is a little slow at first, and then one morning you get up and bang, here's what you've got. So guess what we're eating this week? A lot of salads. Oops, wrong toy. Go this way. Oops, go this way. Okay. Now this, I told you we've been cleaning things out. And when I say we, I mean Walter. Well, those are some more of the planters under the grow lights, but he cleaned all of those out, and we just have this crop of lettuce coming up. And we're really not going to plant anything more in there until we come back from Australia. And then we have the jungle. Here it is, the jungle. Not looking good. The onions are great. The onions are huge. These little things down here at the bottom of the screen, those are green pepper plants. And the bugs do like the green peppers, I can tell you that. They take a long time. I think Walter was talking about cleaning all of this out before we go to Australia, and when we come back, we'll start fresh. But I think I'm going to try and convince him that maybe we should hang on to these little green peppers. I don't know. I'll probably lose that battle just because, you know, they're green, they're coming along. Maybe put them out where the lettuce was in the other picture that I showed you. But these tomato plants were a bit of a disaster. I got the wrong variety. These are supposed to be in hanging baskets. That's why they're droopy, but they're all going brown. But if you take a close look at them, you can see they are ripening. So we'll leave them until just before we go to Australia. We will harvest the tomatoes as they come on. So more in the salads. There's quite a few of them here. And then, what we can't harvest in that, all of that will get composted and we'll start fresh when we come back. But we've learned a lot in how long have we had? A year? Over a year? Just over a year, the grow lights. And we've learned a lot about this process and we're not giving up on them. We know that we have good luck with green peppers. I think we're going to focus on those. I've told you that before. Onions are great. Basil is great, or basil, whichever way you want to say it. And I think that maybe we'll focus just on we'll focus on this more as a salad garden kind of thing. And we will definitely not bring the plants indoors at the end of the growing season this next summer. And of course, we will have our container gardens out on the deck in the summer as well, because, they look nice and it's nice to have fresh food. And at the price of what food costs these days, well, where you can cut back, if you can grow your own, the more power to you. I mean, I've toyed with the idea of, doing it on a little larger scale. I mean, we have a backyard we don't use. We could dig up a little bit of that and put in the garden. The problem is we have bunnies. Lots of bunnies. And bunnies, well, bunnies eat a lot of things. There's squirrels as well and other stuff. And yes, we could try to put a fence up, but bunnies, burrow. If they want what's in your garden, they'll get it. And so I don't know if it's really worth it. It's easier to do it on the deck, I kind of think. So yeah, so that's how things are growing. So let's talk about the 3D printers. I am so excited. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I made an investment in a new 3D printer. It's still part of the manufacturing line that I have started with and still continue with, Creality. And Creality, not Cruelty, although sometimes it is cruel. Creality. Creality is a Chinese manufacturer, yes, but they all are, so get over that. And for the most part, I've had good luck with them. There are times when I have words with my machines, but then who doesn't? They're machines. Right now, there are 4 of them over off to my right. You can't see them, but they're just churning away, working like a charm. So the thing with 3D printing, however, is the hardest part about it is what they call bed leveling. You've heard me talk about this before. And basically the bed is the platform that the filament is, squeezed out onto, and it moves around, and that's what makes your shapes, okay? Makes your stuff. But if it isn't level, things go horribly wrong. And trying to level these suckers is not easy. It's a process of where you stick a piece of paper underneath, you up and down. There's knobs on the underneath side of the bed, and you have to twist it this way, twist it that way, and it's really kind of annoying, to say the least. I've gotten much better at it over the time that I've had my 3D printers. So yeah, but it's still annoying. Well, when I bought this new one, Creality one, it's a little more elaborate, and it has built into it automatic bed leveling. Oh my God, yes. Now, when I bought it, I was skeptical about that feature, but I watched some YouTube reviews, did my due diligence, and decided, yeah, I'm going to take a chance on this. I love it. I absolutely love it. I have not had to use the paper trick once with it, and I don't think I can anyways because there aren't any adjustment knobs on it. It is beauty. So I'm thinking to myself, I know that I can add something called a Creality or BL Touch, bed leveling touch. It's a little probe. They've been around for years. I've never invested in one because I was afraid to, because I had to do something like upgrade the firmware on these devices, and I also had to open it up and screw around with the little circuit board in there, and I was afraid of all of that. However, I have gotten over my fear of that since I've done some other upgrades to my printers as well, and now I can basically when they break down I can fix them. That's something that I learned as well. So I decided I love how this new printer does the leveling. I'm going to invest in a bed leveling probe for my other printers. Now, my idea was to put it on my oldest printer, which is an original Creality Ender 3. I have an original one. I have two, what they call version 2s, and the one I have now is a Ender 3 version KE. Okay, so I went on Amazon, as you do, and there they are. They're not that expensive. They're like 56 bucks for the kit to put it on. So yesterday I installed it. Okay, it did take me a little time. It took me most of the day to get things up and running the way I want them to run. But right now it's running very nicely. Now, why did it take that much time? Well, first of all, I want to put it on my oldest printer, the original Ender 3. And discovered halfway through the process, and I am an idiot at times, that no, we can't do that from there because the motherboard that's in that one is not sophisticated enough to handle an automatic bed leveling probe. Of course, I didn't really discover that until I had most of the guts of it out all over my cutting table. Yeah, so I had to put that all back together, make sure it was running, and it did. So I had to do some more research. Creality, as far as a company is concerned, well, they're Chinese, so you know what the instructions are like, right? And what is it? I know Chinese people have little tiny fingers, and that's based upon the screws and things that you have to use to put these little devices together. And for a normal size hand, and I don't have a big hand, hanging onto these little things or getting into the spots, you've got to have fingers that are very long and about a millimeter in width. Okay. And they must have excellent eyesight in China because the instructions that came with it were on a little pamphlet this big. You needed a magnifying glass to read it. And of course, the English in it, although they're getting better, this company is, with the English, it's still broken and they don't give you a lot of detail. Okay? Like none at all. So I had some problems there, but thanks to the internet, thanks to Google, and that, I was able to figure it all out. So after several hours, I got the system put on one of my Ender 3 version 2s, all up and running. Then I had to calibrate things and get it to work, and that's where YouTube came in. Found a couple of excellent videos about that. And by, about 2 in the afternoon, I was up and I was running and I was experimenting. And I'm very happy to say that right now, yep, just looked over to make sure it wasn't doing something it shouldn't. It's running well. Now back to the new printer. I love it. It's much faster, has automatic bed leveling. It's also wireless. So the theory is I can send whatever I create on my computer, I can send it to be printed wirelessly to that. And that does work. However, there's a bit of a problem. For those of you that are into 3D printing, you may want to skip ahead here, okay? Because this will mean nothing to you. When you download, let's say they're called models, okay, the thing you want to print, and there's lots of sites you go to, like Thingiverse is one of them. You download it like you download any program to your computer. But then you need another program called a slicer. What a slicer does is it takes that model that's in a certain format called STL and it converts it to a computer program called a G code. The G code is what the 3D printers read. That tells them, gives them the instructions how to build the model. And essentially models are built layer upon layer, okay? So these G codes tell the build platform, to go forward or backwards. And it also tells the X and Y axis, or sorry, the Z and Y axis to go up or down or to left or right. It's a Cartesian system if you know mathematics about that. And I'm not going to explain that to you because that's all I know. So yeah, and so you need a separate program on your computer that does that. And they're very easy to use. But the thing is, there are several of them on the market that are very good. I use one called Cura, Ultimaker Cura. It's been around for years. They keep upgrading it, which is fine. It's a free program. It works fine, no problems. And that's what I've been using since the day I started doing 3D printing. Now, Creality, that makes my printers, have their own version of it. It's very much like the Ultimaker one. However, I discovered something with my new printer. It doesn't like files, for the most part, that are, we call it slicing, that are sliced in Cura. It likes the ones that are sliced by Creality's own brand of slicer. That's not a major problem, but it's very, very annoying. Okay. And of course, Creality wants you to use their slicer. It's free as well, but it's all part of the same company, right? You know how companies work. Now, one advantage of using the Creality slicer over the Cura slicer is I can send whatever I create wirelessly to the new printer, and that's kind of nice. And there's a monitor that comes up on my computer showing me, how things are going. I can keep track of it all, and that's very nice too. Now, Cura can do that too, except it won't talk to my Creality. I tried that. Maybe down the road, because they're always constantly doing upgrades for it, maybe it will. But so here's my, not really a dilemma, but here's my situation. When I want to print things on my older printers, I can use either one of the slicers, and I may just go to one. But for now, I'll probably use Cura for those. And because also I'm going to use Cura for that, because I had to write a little bit of G code. Well, it was very little, just one line. Found that on the internet for my touch probe, for my leveling probe. So when a model gets sliced and I'm going to use it on that printer with the leveling device on it, then within the program, the first thing it will do is it will check the bed and level the bed for everything. Okay, that's not a problem either. But it means though I have to slice my models if I want to print them on the new printer. I have to use Creality's slicer, but I can send it to it wirelessly. So whereas the other one I have to transfer what I've done to an SD card and then put the SD card, physically get up, go over to the printer, put it in, and do it from there. So yeah, these are the things that happen when you're using technology. I wait for the day when all computerized equipment, no matter whether it's your toaster oven or it's your 3D printer, all talk nice to each other without any problem. Everything can be seamless between them. However, that will involve AI, and at that point, they may take over the world. Who knows? But anyways, if you're thinking of getting into the world of 3D printing, and I've said this before, you need to realize it is still, a lot of it is not plug and play, although it's getting better, and there's a lot of tinkering. And if you're somebody who likes to learn about technology and things, wow, you'll learn a lot. I'm telling you. I have learned a lot. Who would have known that, like maybe 4 years ago, 3D printing to me was just a pipe dream. Now look at me, I've got a sweatshop happening. Okay, so that's the only thing I bought new in this past week was, well, I bought some filament as well. I bought the bed leveling probe, a CR probe, it's called. And I did buy something else. The new printer came with a magnetic build plate, which means that when your item is done and it's cooled off a little bit, you can pick this thing up and it's flexible and just give it a little bend and your model goes pop. And it's really good because I have not had to use a glue stick on it. That is a trick that we use in 3D printing to get things to adhere to our bed plate. I don't have to use that, which is kind of nice. So I thought, okay, I'm going to invest in one. I could get one for my other printers as well. They're very easy and they're not that expensive. I think they were 30 bucks, something like that. Might have been even less than that. So I invested in one, and that's what's on the printer that has the Creality Touch probe on it right now. So major upgrade to the printer, and it's working fine. I love that. So I'm going to put my new upgraded printer to the test over the next week or so, and I think if all things go well, I will invest in this a new plate. I may get two of them, one for the older printer, the one that I can't upgrade, and I'm not really sure about that. I may be able to yet. There may be ways. I'll have to Google it and see. But I'm going to buy another bed leveler and another one of those flexible build plates and upgrade that other printer. And so my goal is that at least 3 out of 4 of my printers will all be, you know, I won't have to worry about the leveling anymore. They'll do it. They will be pretty much user friendly. That's my goal. Okay, if you fast forwarded through this section because I was putting you to sleep with all that information, you can now rejoin us. All right, so let's talk about something totally different. Blast from the past trip. This is Barossa Wineries tour that we did in Australia in 2018. We had a car and we went through the winery district and we stopped at several different wineries, did some tastings and whatnot. So I think this whole thing this was a very long video. So I've broken it into 3 parts. So this is part 1 of the Barossa Valleys Winery tours we did.
Okay, so this morning we have the whole day to explore the Barossa Valley wineries, which a lot of them don't open until about 11 o'clock or so. But we're on our way to the information center in, what's the name of the place? Tanunda. And to check out, what's there. We do want to go to Jacobs Creek. It's probably a very large winery because that's the one that we're familiar with in our own country, and we actually drink a lot of Jacob Creek wines, the ones that we can get, and we can't get that many of them in Canada. But anyways, we'll see what we see here. And there's some place called Maggie's Beer Farm Shop, which our friend Naira, no, I can't say her name, geez. Nairi in Adelaide told us about yesterday. She sent us a message yesterday, and you might remember Nairi if you've been watching my vlogs. A few weeks ago, she was one of my featured people. And Nairi has kindly said that on Sunday she will come with a friend, and they're going to pick us up at our hotel and take us to some place for coffee and cake, which sounds very nice. And it'll be really great to meet Nairi in the flesh, so to speak, because we have been carrying on a correspondence for a while now. So anyway, she recommended this place, Maggie's Beer Farm Shop. I'm not absolutely sure what it is, but it sounds like it's food and it's wine and it's beer and I don't know what not. But we're going to check that out today too and see what that's all about. Now, someone asked a question or made a comment on one of the videos about how fast is Walter going, and I think the suggestion was that we're going pretty fast on these roads. Actually, we're not. We are doing way below the speed limit. On a lot of these roads, even with the curves that you've seen, it's 80 to 100 kilometers an hour, and in some cases it's 110 is the speed limit. Now, there's no way, I don't think anybody, I don't care if you're from out of the country or a race car driver or an Aussie, I don't think you do some of those curves at 100 kilometers an hour. But so Walter's generally driving way under the speed limit. And I'll say one thing about Aussie drivers, they seem to be very patient with us. They will overtake us and pass us when they can, but if it was in our country, I have a feeling we would hear horns at what we're doing. So but yeah, so he is not being a speed demon, people. He's being very, very cautious, and you really need to be, because these roads,
well, I'm not used to these kind of roads. I'm used to big, huge highways in Canada, so.
Yeah, we're used to many multiple lanes. Not
I can drive 120 in Canada, but we're on a great big huge highway, so.
Which is straight for the most part. And here, no such luck with that. So anyways, just to rest assured, he is not being a speed demon. Besides, if he was being a speed demon, I'd probably be sitting here screaming most of the way. I'm just more concerned about this little line to the left and whether or not he creeps over. But the last little while, he's been pretty good about that. Although sometimes with these parked cars on the side, I swear he's going to scrape off a mirror. But yeah, I think we've got the knack, and when I say we, I mean Walter, has the knack of driving here in Australia using in a car that has the steering wheel on the opposite side to what we're used to, and driving on the opposite side of the road. So
in 400 meters, arrive at 66 to 68 Murray Street on the right.
So this is Nunda, and this is where the information center for the wine gallery is, or the wine valley, and so we're going to go in there and check it out. So this is Natunda. What's that? Tenunda. Sorry again, Australians, for mispronouncing words. Tanunda. Okay. So anyways, we're going to take we're just in the visitor center, and now we're going to take a little walk along the street to see what we can see. And then you mentioned something about some museum or something.
Yeah, I don't know. 48, 43, 52, 48, 43.
Well, we'll see what we see. This is the Barossa Museum, which actually doesn't look like it's open right now. Not really sure about that. It's got Barossa and German artifacts in it, so I'm not sure if it's really worth going in there. Just some more of Tanunda Lutheran Church. Walter taking pictures. Not much in this little town. What's that? I don't think I had it on. Yeah, I don't think so. I can't express how much you mean to me, but I can try. It's beans and cream. Everyday furniture. It's everyday furniture. Oh, amazing. We've got other things in here too. Let's go in and check it out. Huh? Let's go in and check it out. Just to give you an idea of a department store here. Lots of things.
a little different to what we're used to now. This reminds me of the old days when we used to have Woolworths and things like that. And I don't mean Woolies, I mean Woolworths in North America, which is totally different. But the old style department stores, mind you, this is an old style, this is modern, but the idea that they had everything under one roof. Not like today with the big box stores and things like that, where you have one for kitchenwares, one for bedware, one for whatever. Here they've got everything. So that takes me to events in the past week. We had a pop-up soda day on Saturday. I think at the height we had about 33 people. It was great. We had some new faces there, which was great to see. Love having new people to hit on. No, that's not what I mean. We love to have new people join us. Everybody seemed to have a great time. Got a lot of things done. I did too. Yeah, so will there be another one? Of course there'll be another one. We're moving into March. Now, at the tail end of March, we leave for Australia, so I'll have to have it before then. And I don't know exactly when. I haven't got a date. Probably in about the second weekend in March might be a good time. I'll let you know. Okay, and everybody's welcome to join me. And again, you know I have a mailing list, and if you're not on it, then get on it, because I do send out announcements about coming events through that. You don't get many emails from me. It's only about, you know, like pop-up so days mainly. Also about the retreat though, which will happen, more about that in a moment, which will happen in May. So, you know, you might want to be on the mailing list. But I always post the links and tell you about the pop-up so day in the videos that come, you know, a few days before the actual pop-up so day. What else? So that was events in the past week, was pop-up so day. Coming up, well, there's a couple of special events coming up this week. You know that Shannon of Slay Arts just went over 1,000K, and so she's having 1,000 sub celebration this coming Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's February the 27th. She's invited a bunch of us to be on there live through the Zoom link, and everybody else can be in the chat mode for this. I'm not absolutely sure what she has planned, but it's going to be fun anyways. The usual victims, guinea pigs, usual criminals, whatever you want. Characters, that's a good word. Usual characters will be there, as in Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches, Russ from Quilt Meets World, Walter, and myself. But there'll be a few others as well. So hope you can join us. Now, I looked this morning before I did this to see if Shannon has put a link up for that yet, and I can't find one on her channel. And this is Monday, so I imagine she will put something up today. I'm hoping with it. So yeah, so just stay tuned, you know. Click on Shannon's channel. If you don't see a link before then, just click on her channel, you know, on Tuesday at some point, and I'm sure it'll be there. This coming Friday, March the 1st, Stephanie is having her 20,000 celebration. And this is going to be fun. That's March the 1st, Friday, and it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as well. And of course, Shannon's going to be on there. Russ is going to be on there. Walter's going to be on there. I'm going to be on there. And I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but you know, when the five of us get together, it's always something a little different. So yeah, so hopefully you can join us for that too. And Stephanie does have a link for that up already, and it's in my show notes as well as on her YouTube channel, Stephanie Stitches. Okay, and of course I already mentioned Men's Sew Day starting at 8 a.m. this coming Sunday, March the 3rd. All men are welcome. Starts at 8 a.m., runs till about 3 p.m. Come and go as you please. Links in the show notes for that as well. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. I have a house to clean. I have a quilt to fix. I've got 3D prints to print. I've got lots of stuff. And so another cup of coffee and I'm good to go. So I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you later on. Bye for now.